Call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has everybody had a chance to read through the minutes from May 1st? I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next is highway report. Randy?
Okay, so we started cleaning up all the grounds, and the cemeteries are open now. The cemeteries are looking pretty good. They have a few things that, it's gonna take a day or two to fix. We found some, I don't know how to say this, but activities as in companies coming in and putting headstones in the wrong place. And without permission.
Just go straight there without.
Yeah, without calling, talking, or nothing. So I have to address that, and I have not figured out which company it was. I eliminated the ones that we normally deal with.
That's right.
So this was an outside company on this particular one. So sometime last fall, they came up, put it in the wrong grade area. So there's not even a body there, so that's a good thing that way, but.
Right, that's true.
Wait, so there's a headstone? No.
Oh, we're there.
Oh. Got it, good.
So that sums that up, it was kind of a surprise.
You can't pull those names on it either.
No?
So on Karen's request, we put a motion light at the end of this building, so that when people leave here, that goes on and then shuts off later on.
Good.
As long as the light switch is left in the on position. We chip sealed the lower end of Gilman Town today. I mean, that's project one of many that we have this summer. And going into the projects for the highway department, first of all, I need permission from the board, a resolution, I guess you would say, to go out to bid for sand and stone, because like last year, the county is not accepting bids from one of our local contractors in which we get our sand from. So in order to buy sand for next winter, we need to put it out to bid ourselves. And in doing that, I don't just bid out the sand, I bid out, gravel, stone, stuff like that. Just the same.
Same arrangement?
I just cut and pasted from last year, this year's dates on it, and so on, but I need a resolution before I can actually send out the bids.
Okay, someone want to move that?
Move.
Kathy? Second?
Second.
Don? Any discussion?
It's basically the same as last year, just different dates.
Identical.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you
All right,
got
The
it.
last thing is a form that needs to be signed by all of you and the county and such, which is known as 284 agreement. It's basically saying where I plan on spending the money that you put in the budget last year. I'll read this off so that, if you have questions, I'd rather explain it now than each individually reading this and signing it. There's $40,000 into general maintenance, which is culverts, ditching, so on and so forth on the roads. Which a lot of that money is going to go towards replacing of the Swan Lake culvert that we got from FEMA. FEMA's money pretty much paid for all of it, but we, the actual project is gonna cost more now because it's 3 years, 4 years down into it. So some of that money is gonna be there. Project A, Hamilton Lake Road from the school bus turnaround to the end of the road. We paved 3 years ago with a base coat. Now we are going to top it with type 6, an inch and a half of that. The next project from there is Golf Course Road from, which many of you would know as the second green, which is somewhere very vicinity of Klein's. There's a culvert we replaced a couple years ago, last year. To the end of the road, we are going to grind that road out and build up the base of the road and then gravel it. It's underwater most of the spring, and it's, from what we can tell, rock stumps, so on and so forth. Just like we did Pelcher Road, the one real bad section, it's 600 feet long. So we're gonna do that. That project is going to be under no more than 45,000. The next project is, the chip sealing of Gilmantown. So that is no more than 28,000. And then the last large project is from Route 8 to 2,700 feet down on Pelcher Road, where we ground it and put the base down. We need to put the top on that also. We did that the same year as we did Hamilton Lake Road.
Yeah.
So, and then the rest of that, some of that maintenance part in the beginning is topping where we put the culverts in.
How much did you say was here?
What's that?
How much did you say this
Which
form
one?
will cover? How much money total? I thought I heard
The
40.
last one was 41,000.
Okay, so when I heard it could be.
That's Pelcher
Okay.
Road. Gilmantown Road is 28,000. The Golf Course Road is 45,000. And the topping of Hamilton Lake Road is 100,000. It's actually 96,800 and something, but that's if fuel prices don't go back up between now and June, which I'm expecting they probably will. So those are the 4 major projects, and then the culvert over on Fondwick Road. And the typical form that you guys sign, you sign it, and then I bring it up to Tracy, and then I think the county it gets stored at the county.
I've had occasion to travel on Gilmantown Road a couple of times in the past 2 weeks, and it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, it's a lot better than Route 38.
yeah, well, someone told me I did that on purpose because of
I was
the
just gonna
bumps,
make that
but
comment.
it
You
was,
may- You may wanna slow down at the last time I have it now, because it's all stone that we just put on today.
yeah, a little dusty, yeah, but still, but in general, very good shape. I mean, wintered well.
Michelle?
So in the budget, there is 196,000 in the CHIPS appropriation fund, whatever. We have received more than what we budgeted from the state in the revenue line. So we will receive, let's put it that way, once I spend it. So, I believe it's gone up 12,000 this year with the new budget. So that's kudos to the governor for
That's the
that.
word we got.
So, I have it in writing, so.
Yep. Well,
yeah,
wait for the check.
Yeah, wait for the
Send
check,
them in.
but I have it in writing what we are,
Yeah, there you go. Promise.
Okay.
any other questions on any of that? Just so that-
Not for me.
Did you have any more of a closer date as to when the construction's gonna start on the
I
road?
did not call today. It was on my agenda, but with the ship sealing it took.
Yeah, I see they put signs up, you know.
Yeah, every day you get a little
And
whiff
one more
of it.
sign,
Yeah,
or
no,
you'll be ready
I
4th of
think when
July.
you see them going back filling all the potholes again, because that process requires them, if there's a void there, there's gonna be a void, because they're doing the melting thing.
Right.
They have to fill all the potholes with something, which is normally coal patch. When you see that being done, they're getting close to coming in, because the last time when they did from Wells up, they were literally a mile ahead of them filling the holes.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't that far away because they got caught under the wire. So I think when you see them filling the holes, they know they're coming,
Okay.
so,
I have a question. Can we
yep.
please know, get a copy of this prior to the board meeting when this comes up next year?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we actually have to move that because we signed it?
It's budgeted, stuff, but,
There. This is the,
Yeah.
no. The
Okay.
284 is signed just so that the
we kick it to county.
county and everybody know where we're spending the money
Right.
on, from the budget.
And so the department met and with you, the committee met with you on all of this?
No,
Okay. Just new to me. My knees. I gotta read this. All right. I just wanna read it before I sign it.
Okay, anything else, Randy?
nope, that was it.
That was it?
Yep.
Any news on our garbage truck?
Nope,
Nothing. Zip.
not a word. The gentleman called me on quotes for the dumpsters that I've asked for, but he had no information for,
Garbage truck.
so. Sad to say, it's gonna be well into fall, I bet.
Okay. Another question, the contract with Town of Arietta for the water truck, have we received that?
They're supposed to be signing it tonight.
Okay.
Their end of it.
Okay, and then they'll get it to us to sign.
As we speak.
This kind of slows the process that they meet all the same time as we do.
Right. Chris asked for it, I brought it out to him, I said, he goes, well, we should probably sign this, and then you guys should sign that. I said, yeah, it's gonna be a whole back and forth.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So I believe he's met with the village to get their end of it, so.
That's most
you know, that-
important.
yeah.
We can't take it there unless they have that.
That's right.
As part of that contract, if they hand us a copy of the contract between them and them.
Right.
We're not
Okay,
gonna show up with twice as much water all of a sudden,
and it's
so.
our guys driving our vehicle. We're not worrying about any of that.
Correct.
Okay,
100% on us.
okay,
So on our schedule, on our, with our truck, with our guys.
okay. I'm really not questioning you. I'm stalling out till 7:15 to start the public
Well,
hearing.
that's all I have to do. A lot of things.
Well, go ahead. Is there anything else you want to
Read this.
discuss?
No, Kathy just wants to read.
Yeah, go ahead, read.
I got a couple of minutes now.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so, well, anything else?
Well, brush pit is open,
Oh, good. That's good news.
getting used heavily.
Really, already?
Perkins Clearing Road's open.
Perkins Clearing Road is open. That phone calls have gotten even more tremendous about that because everybody wants to know why the mud gates are still on the state's end, and I can't do more than send them to
Yeah,
Northville.
It's not us.
And Northville doesn't answer the phone.
Never, never ever.
No, they don't. There's nobody there.
Shame.
Northville did bring me all new mileage markers for Perkins Clearing Road
Oh, good.
with the word Perkins Clearing Road on them. So they got dropped off today. It's kind of funny that the lady came in and Donnie was the only one there and said, I'm from the state of New York. And he got really nervous. And he said, and what do you want to inspect? And she goes, oh, no, I'm here to drop stuff off. So he was that was kind of funny there.
Yeah.
But we have all new signs, 1 through 7 for both sides of the road we have to put up.
Great.
And they gave us a sign post,
Okay.
so we can put them up. But yeah, but now they just gotta get the rest of the gates open.
Okay, and where are we on the pathways?
On the pathway.
Yeah, you were talking with
we walked that.
Dave.
Today, we went down and confirmed that the river is now low enough. Wednesday morning's a cold morning, I do believe, they're going to go put the docks in so that the bugs don't pick them up and carry them away.
Okay,
On the frosty morning of Wednesday morning.
okay.
28 degrees, I think.
Yeah,
Get one of these.
And the signs are up, right?
Yeah.
the signs are not up yet.
The same, not up. Next
Well,
up.
I just-
They
yeah,
will be
because
coming
somehow I
anyway.
got two.
Okay, okay, Dave was in and we made copies of the sign-in book, more pages for him. He was running out of pages. So he's set till he retires in about 5 years, because I made a mistake and he got double of what he needed.
Oh, good. All
Didn't want to waste the paper.
right, so let me see, what the signs up. Could we-
No, not yet, no, they'll probably work on that this week, but what
Right.
about the picnic area?
The picnic area, as far as cleaning it up and stuff, that'll be probably tomorrow,
Okay.
so.
You want this?
Oh, I had a request for the signage on the pathway. The "You Are Here" signs with the little maps.
Yeah.
There was no "Here" dot on them, and
Well, that's so that we can put them anywhere we want.
people ended up on the highway on
Okay.
Elm Road.
Okay.
Because they were not here, they were there.
Okay, folks, it's now 7:15. It's time to open up the public hearing. So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. So the zoning committee has been working on this process, I'm gonna say, for about 3 months, maybe even longer. And I'd like to introduce the zoning committee, Neil McGovern, Vicky Bice, which is a Town of Lake Pleasant retired zoning and codes officer, Steve Page, our current zoning codes officer, and Caitlin Stewart, who had a conflict and could not be here tonight. So she's going to miss out. But at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Vicky, and she will go through the proposed changes. And once the committee is done, then I will ask folks that want to speak. You'll have your opportunity to speak at that time. So, Vicky.
Okay, we just had a couple
Does everybody
typo
have a copy?
changes that were found. Just the fee schedule. Couple references that were incorrect. When it references a different section, go to that section and it didn't quite match.
What page was it, Vic?
There's one on page 31.
Okay,
Lakefront residential 1.3 refers to section 20M
okay,
of
yeah,
this part, and there was no 20M in that part.
okay. This part, what does she mean?
Certain uses and activities within this zone will be required to adhere to the shoreline regulations set forth in section 20M.
Section is 20, not M, is that what you're telling us?
There is no 20, there is no M.
So should we strike the whole line?
I would think so, because, well, this was put together by Saratoga Associates, and I'm sure they had a blanket thing,
Yes.
and it's just something that got missed.
Okay, so we're going to eliminate this.
Strike it.
Okay. Okay, done. Does everybody agree to that, okay?
The fee schedule states it's $15 per permit fee, which has changed since this was made.
And that is page, yeah. All right, that one.
What page was that, Steve? Ask me.
So section 3.3B.
3.3B.
There it is.
Right here.
First tab.
So we're moving that.
Yes,
Remove.
page 6,
Okay,
section
she has-
3.3B.
yep.
So striking the $15 permit.
Right, and just have it, you would see the code enforcement officer about the fee, because they change
according to the type.
Okay. Okay,
Page 8, section 3.5. CO needs to take into consideration remodeling in addition to an occupying home. And that, you know, do you want to give a CO to that addition? You know, if someone's got this house, they make it this big, you have to give that a CO.
Sure. So that's addition.
That's an addition. Building height, to be more specific, it should probably say to the top of the chimney, vent stacks, antennas, instead of the highest point on the roof, because that's what the APA is.
The 40 foot from ground level includes the antennas.
Yeah. Apparently that's what the APA looks at.
Yeah. There's been some local towns that have struggled with this in enforcement.
Right.
Where it's read differently by different contractors.
Yeah,
so-
everybody has their own interpretation.
Right.
but that's also the recommendations of the APA, correct?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what you have to,
We're
Make them
following
happy.
them.
Right, right. We passed the local law on that last year, didn't we? Sure we did.
Changed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was changed last year.
yep, yep.
We did, yeah.
page 18, and there are definitions, and there's no definition for a garage or a shed, which contain living space. There's no definition for a detached office, pet boarding and or daycare, and pet training. So it would be nice to have just a definition in there of what they.
You say that's on 18, Vic?
Page 18.
That's what Steve's got on his page. There's definitions, but those three are missing.
Yeah, we're not gonna see them.
Right.
Right. And the garage.
So they would be added?
So we need to
Yeah,
add, yeah, I mean, that's quite important.
right. And page 21, there's a typo at the top of the page, should read width or 40 feet instead of 40 feet. Just drop the T.
Okay,
The majority of the restrictions, or the changes, would be on the use table in the back,
just this, I
yes.
think everybody has it.
And that describes all the different zones, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what you need a permit for, what you can do outright. And on the very last page, you know, the ones that are in there now are fine, but on the last page, we've made most of the changes there. Like skating rink, there's really no need to have that in there.
Remove that, remove the theater.
Yeah. Remove that, remove theater, and that would fall under the new check marks, where it says retail business or service not otherwise specifically mentioned here.
Right. So basically, a conditional use.
Right, I mean, people have all kinds of ideas of things they wanna do.
Sure.
And this way, if there's an X in all of those, they have to get a special use permit and come before the board.
Right.
We can notify the neighbors, get their input. We can, you know, make sure that parking, all that stuff is secure and,
Yeah, adequate,
yeah, and it's a better chance to review each project.
sure.
Like the road stand. Road stand, if you've got your own garden growing, you wanna put your vegetables out by the road, you don't need a permit for that. But if you've got a road stand where you've got employees, you need parking, you need this or that, it's bigger, then you should have a special use permit.
Absolutely.
That's really all we're doing, is making everyone's project more reviewable,
Okay,
both for us and the neighbors.
okay,
Yeah, I'm a big believer in conditional uses. My time on the ZBA and planning board in the village. It takes a lot of stuff off of the village board, or in this case, the town board. And you just can't come up with a shoebox for everything that people will come in that wanna try.
Right.
And this gives an opportunity for the planning board, which is a cross-section of our community, sober, well thought of, gives them a chance to go back and forth with the proposed project with the landowner. I think it's the best way to do it. Every time I hear of people trying to make the buttoned up last word on zoning, it never works.
No. And if everybody has a chance to discuss it, it usually works out better.
I agree.
And Vicky, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Steve and I were talking about this. The state actually recommends, like every 3 years, that we review this?
Yes.
And we haven't done this since 2008. So
Correct.
we have to try to get this into rotation so we don't get so far behind again.
Right, so the next review would be in 2026.
Okay. Okay.
Do any of you have any other questions?
I mean, these guys might.
Oh, hang on a sec. Okay, okay.
Well, the one
Board
suggestion.
members, anybody else have any?
We're not changing
Everybody
any
is-
boundary lines, we're not changing any zones. It's just putting an extra check in place for if you want to do things.
Okay.
Steve, could you, I made a quick note, but to get an actual wording for page 18 or subsequent in that area of the code, to make sure we get that in, the adding the sheds, garages,
Yeah.
et cetera. If they have living quarters, they're a specific use that should be
Yeah.
permitted.
Yes, I will provide some wording for that.
Thank you, brother.
Perfect. Okay, so now at this time, I would like to open it up to the floor. Does anybody want to speak? Anybody have any questions? Come on up.
No, I just wanted, could you define for me resource management zone? What is a resource management zone, RM?
Okay. They're all described in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there'd be a glossary at the beginning of the code.
It was-
Resource management.
If you have a code
Yeah,
there.
but what does it?
The resource management zone covers lands that were where the need to protect, manage, and enhance forest, recreational, and open space resources is of paramount importance because of overriding natural resource concerns.
Okay.
Okay. So Nancy, you had a question. You want to come on up and talk to us?
Yeah, I just have prepared some notes here.
Okay. Take your time, feel comfortable.
I absolutely love Lake Pleasant, and our cabin was built here in 1955, and 4 generations of family have been here, so we're not newcomers. So anyway, all right, I wanted to talk about the noise that's generated by the amplified music at the weddings at the Bell Winslow property. Very, very concerned about this. I wanted to just quickly give you some facts that I looked up with Google regarding noise. And, I saw in the notes, the legal limit at this point is 82 decibels. Okay, so a rock and roll band is 105 decibels. And that's the same as a jackhammer. So, I also looked up water amplifies sound. So, the sound that we hear at our house is the same sound that is heard by the people at the wedding. So, it is very loud, and, not only the bands and the DJs, but also intoxicated people and all their hoopla, which is fine if you're in the mood for it, if you're in the mood for, and I tried. We were here for 3 of the weddings. The first 2 weddings I kept saying, Nancy, change your attitude, adjust to this, dance on the porch or whatever, But by the one in the fall, it was so loud. Our windows were closed. I turned the fan on, I wait, and this is a suggestion that I have because I want you to experience what we experience at our cabin. And that is if you take your stereo and you crank it up and you listen to it from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., that is what we experience. And it's just so intrusive. Now the wedding is fine. Weddings are happy things, I don't hear anything from the weddings. It's the amplified music. And I'm really concerned about the quality of our life up here if that continues. So I've never spoken in front of a town board. It took a lot for me to get up here, but I had to let you know what's going on with us. We are not anti-business people. There was a business on the other side of the road. I think antiques were sold. There was a wine tasting. No problem. Didn't hear anything, you know? That's an appropriate use. I understand that this wedding is gonna generate business, there's gonna be all kinds of spin-offs, but please think about it. Because, I mean, this is the only thing I can do. And we've been here a long time, you know, and I'm not the only one. I'm the one who's here, but I'm not the only one who's upset about this. And to really, really think about the impact on the residents who are here regarding changing things to commercial. You know, and just if it's, like you were saying, special use permit, you know, hopefully things would get guided and disciplined and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's about all. And I am so glad that I'm over.
Thank you, you're brave soul. And we're all friendly. Did you want to maybe touch on the special use permit, Steve or Vicky?
Sure,
Just so that would be great, if you could come up and explain it, so everybody will understand it.
Well, a special use permit just means that the proposal's turned over to the planning board, who then takes a look at what they're planning to do, of course. So special use means exactly that, special use for whatever it is, and it takes into consideration the feelings of the neighbors, like we just heard expressed. It takes into consideration the use proposed, the business, and the planning board then decides, is it worthwhile? Is it detrimental to the neighbors? Is it detrimental to the business proposal? They have to review it, and if they decide that it isn't, then that's the end of it. It's refused. If they decide it might have possibilities, then the planning board can set regulations, which Nancy spoke about regulations. So we are aware, we have a county zoning or noise ordinance as well. So we are aware of the noise ordinances. But so they would set, the planning board would set special times when the noise could happen, the band would play, and any other thing that might come into play, like, you know,
Point the speakers away from the lake.
yeah, speakers perhaps pointed away from the lake, or whatever they decide. But as far as commercial, that we're not changing that to commercial property. It just would be open just like every other property in the town, to special possibility of a special use permit. They could submit the application, that doesn't mean it's going to occur.
And it can be rescinded at any time.
That's right, and once it's issued, if they're not following the rules, it can be rescinded.
What constitutes neighbor?
Well, this goes out to a hearing, I mean, there's a hearing, so I mean, the immediate neighbors are the ones adjacent. But it has to be advertised, and it has to go out to everybody.
It's in the paper for at least 10 days before the meeting. So if you know there's something going on over there that you think you can hear, come to the meeting.
Got it.
Voice your concerns.
So it is publicized.
And if we make recommendations on how to appease those concerns and make it work, and it's not working, then we can revoke the permit or change, you know, make the rules more stringent.
May I make a comment? From a business owner's perspective, somebody who wants to have a wedding business, how are they going to be able to plan their season if every time they want to book a wedding, they have to come to the town and get a special use permit?
If we can get the restrictions in place, then you issue a seasonal permit.
It would be
And
fine.
at any time during that season, if something's gone wrong, or something's not working, just adjust those restrictions, and if it still doesn't work, just revoke the permit.
That's gonna be hard on everyone, because, and I'm on the side of tranquility, but I'm gonna just talk to you as if I was the business owner. I don't know how I could invest in a business knowing that if a neighbor or somebody on the lake is angry about the amount of noise that the complaint gets made, and then the rug gets pulled out from under me because I have weddings booked. It does not seem to be a very logical way to approach the subject from their perspective. Maybe, I don't know if there's anybody here that represents. If that's an acceptable plan for you to take your chances?
Not really, I mean, if I can get one for the season, we've cut back on scheduling this year until we had this figured out. So, I mean, I have 2 weddings booked this year, that have been booked for 2 years. So people book weddings out far in advance, and they really have to get space to stay up here. We all know that there's limited places to stay, so they plan ahead, and so, I mean, if I can get a permit for the year, then we would, book within the year. And I just couldn't book for 2 years out like I do now.
To me, it's kind of a helter-skelter way of dealing with the zoning issue. You're really trying to change, you're really changing your zoning in kind of a backdoor way. I wouldn't like it if I was a business owner, and I can tell you this, from our perspective, well, I'm sorry, somebody you said, disagree with me.
Yes, I do too.
Okay, so I should listen to what you were saying.
Go ahead, continue.
This conditional use is used all over the state, it's used very, very effectively. I would object immediately calling anything backdoor.
Yeah.
I would object immediately to any of the assertion about pulling the rug out on anyone. I trust our planning board, you may not. When these things are accommodated, I refer back to my time in the village because the village had a checkerboard. The whole Main Street is a checkerboard of commercial and residential use. I happen to live in a commercial zone and with a residential home. So each and every one of those businesses, whether they were car places or shopping places or food places, all had to stand this same rigors of a conditional permit. Neighbors were considered. Negotiations were had for when Napa was being proposed next to Mountain Market. In fact, Mountain Markets was a tough one. It went all about whether or not could we make it so your deliveries are before 9 o'clock at night. Napa traditionally would deliver at 11 at night with a key drop and so on. Man across the street, a lot of noise and so on. And these things were worked out in a contractual sort of way. You'll have to agree to this. Yes, I do agree to this. Now you have your permit. The last thing that we want to do is make it so that this is something fragile. It shouldn't be that at all. But to be so rigid as to not be able to have certain uses for your property, that denial then goes back on those folks. And quite frankly, the books are, I've been to a lot of school for this, the books are full of folks that got denied A and ended up putting in C, and the neighbors were way, way, way less happy. Because C can be 13 cottages, it can be a lot of different, this to me, I'm not a fan of spot zoning. So we're not looking to zone this for this particular use. We're looking to make sure that conditional uses are reviewed on their own merit.
Do you draw any distinction in that analysis between the village properties and the lakefront properties that we're talking about?
Yes, they were all RA, RB, and some of the...
No, but I mean, is there a difference between a Napa Auto Parts and Speculator Auto and an ice cream place and somebody who's got a property on the lake with waterfront? Are those all, do you consider them to be all the same in your analysis in terms of what people ought to be able to do?
No, I wouldn't say I consider them completely separate, but by the same token, would we give less to folks who have a home and children and this and that, who are close to those businesses that are trying to reside? We're trying to make their life peaceful, tranquility was your word. I think that for the most part, a lot of these things can be addressed. Again, I'll refer back to the village. the village, we worked very hard to get folks to donate money to have some park land at the end of the lake. Well, there's hundreds and hundreds of residents who face the lake, including Camp of the Woods, of course, but face the lake. And here you have 10 nights a summer of bands playing? Because the speakers are aimed away from the water and towards it. No problems, no complaints, no water is a percussion instrument, none of. And they get, a lot of people. And the rock and roll, I can hear it from my house, but it's not objectionable. It's not to the point that the lady mentioned, as if in my house I had the stereo on high. And for the most part, we do what you said. We kind of bebop for a couple hours and, oh, that's nice. If I'm in my backyard, I can sort of hear it. But the lakefront folks, it really helps to have those things turned around. So I don't think they're small adjustments. I think a couple of well thought out adjustments could make that use for that property be perfectly acceptable for folks. I don't think I ever saw anything but more, maybe Steve playing guitar up in the yellow barn, and you would not have heard him. I mean, it was this very coffee house sound. I understand, I've catered more than a half a dozen weddings at the site we're talking about. And they were loud, but we never had a complaint there either. But usually the band was inside of a tent. So there's a lot of ways that we can kind of make this work for all parties without throwing out the baby and unconditional. I think conditional is one of the best land use zoning tools there is.
Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
We bring lots of
Tracy?
business to the area when we do weddings. I mean, the people all stay here, they eat breakfast, they use our restaurants. So to say, I know you said there's many people, to have one complaint, we follow the sound ordinance, 10 o'clock is our shut-off time. Normally it's a DJ, we did have one band last year. And we would be fine saying, because of the noise, we'd be willing to just offer DJs. We do leave it to the bride on where she wants the DJ located in the tent, but that's something that we can put in our contract, that the DJ has to be him on this side of the lake so that the speakers face towards the mountain. It's always under a tent. So, there is things that we can do, but like I said, we make them, it's 11 o'clock and we actually have them shut down by 10 o'clock. Usually there's a bunch of boats in front of the place. Most of the neighbors love the music. Like I said, we have not had anybody come to us and have any concerns. We've actually had people that pull their car over and sit up there and just enjoy the music and enjoy a happy day for people. So I'm sorry that it's inconveniencing you. There's not that many a year, and I think that the business that it brings into the community outweighs having one person, dislike the music.
Nancy?
My issue is that website is absolutely beautiful and the business is gonna grow. And if there's a wedding every weekend,
There won't be,
the
because I
quality
don't want
of
that.
life for us, you're talking 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and you're saying, oh, that's no big deal. Well, that's a nice time of night
Sure.
to eat out on your porch and I just, it's so intrusive and I just, I don't know. I knew I was gonna be up against this. One person complaining.
Yeah.
But, it's really gonna change, be a game changer. And what's the recourse that I have? To sell the property?
No.
Our land may decrease in value if it's these loud bands every weekend. I don't know.
Like I said, we don't normally have bands. We've had one band. And the
The
time.
sound is the same, it doesn't
Hey,
matter.
if I have to hear We Are Family one more time, I'm gonna slip my wrists.
You know, I mean, I
YMCA.
don't know about the
Yeah, that was.
stuff being across the road, where the barn is. You fix up the barn, so if it's raining or something, you do whatever, but that, at least to have the house blocking the road, you know.
But why do you
the-
think people want to get married there?
The wedding
Because
is
they're
not a
perfect view
problem,
of
it's
the-
the amplified music.
It's a beautiful place.
Absolutely gorgeous.
There's no denying that, it's a stellar place to be. But I would say if people want to have an Adirondack experience, they don't need a DJ and they don't need a rock and roll band. There's other experiences that they could have here that would be consistent. I can read the body language. I know people.
Well, have you been to a wedding without a band, without music?
No, but how many, well, anyway, I'm just saying that we have now come to the point where we have identified the inconsistent desires with respect to the property. You want to do business and we want to enjoy our property in a tranquil way.
So we enjoy the property and we love to share it with other people. That is something that we enjoy doing, and I can't tell you how many brides have said, I've driven by this house my whole life. We've had a camp here my whole life, and I've driven by this property my whole life, and I've always wanted to be married here. So we're fulfilling the dreams of people that desire the beauty of up here and love it here because they have been coming up here.
Yeah, but you also have to understand that the people all around the lake, maybe they haven't complained to you, but they've invested in these houses. And they families like fourth generation, they've moved up here for peace and quiet. So you kinda gotta understand their point of view too, which you seem to be reluctant to do.
Well, I just,
can make
what's stopping
concessions.
somebody from going to their boathouse and playing loud music
Nothing.
Nothing.
until 11 o'clock at night?
Well, the county noise ordinance
Is
is
till
11.
11?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
But that's not a scheduled commercial business
Right.
every weekend during the summer.
We don't have weddings every weekend.
Well,
don't-
you're
yes.
aiming for that. all right,
No,
but
I'm not
Yeah.
aiming
She
for
just said
that.
she didn't want to.
No, I am not aiming for
It's-
that.
Once it starts, you know,
I
that's
run
it.
it, and it's not gonna go there, because I don't want that many weddings. I
Well,
have other
here
businesses,
again,
but-
not to get into the weeds here too much, keeping in mind, all of this can be addressed in a conditional permit. Not to exceed 6, not to exceed 4, not to, aiming of the music, enclosing and captioning the music as you will. I want you to understand, you're being heard, whether you're just, you're the one party that's here, I think Don's right, there's probably others. The planning board is watching out for your interests as much as it is for theirs. And I think that that's something that I guess there's a level of trust there, but short of having some sort of, velvet hammer, that's what zoning's about.
And we're willing to work, like I said, we put the music in the tents, we'll point the speakers up towards the mountain.
Mountain.
There's lots of things can be
Yeah,
done.
drop the
So-
volume down a
so
little
that-
bit.
that
Instead of
should
10,
help a
put it at
bit.
8.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all the things that the planning board would take into consideration,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I'm sure they
And,
will.
Yeah.
and if it didn't work, then the complainant comes back and we try something else. And if we can't find a way to work it out, then the permit gets revoked.
And if somebody wants
Everybody has to have a right to try.
if somebody wants a full-time commercial operation, they should buy a commercial piece of property. That's the bottom line, as far as you mentioned, commercial, it's not zone commercial.
Right.
Right, but this is the way to make it as commercial as possible, given the number of permits you're willing to issue.
So if I wanted to have a wedding at my house, it would be a problem for you? I'm directly across the
Where's your
lake.
house?
I'm directly across the lake from you.
For somebody to have a private affair is different than operating a business. There's zoning for a reason, and so the people that established the zoning here decided that there was something special about the lakefront and that certain activities would not be permitted there. That's why they're so restricted. So that was the plan up until now. So
So you wouldn't have a problem if they had the band on the other side of the road? Or you don't want the band at all?
Well, I mean,
what
let's try it.
I'll tell you what I want. What I want to hear is the waves lapping up against the shore and the peepers and the loons.
So do I.
Right, well, you won't if you come over to our house during the wedding.
Just
I wouldn't
invite
anyway,
anyone to
because
come over and
whoever's got the
listen.
rental at the end of the lake has a boat with a very loud stereo in it, and they sit right in front of my
I
house.
know, I don't like it either,
about
but you know, but I can't,
This is summer in the Adirondacks, people come and they have fun.
well, we're not Lake George yet. If you wanna make us into the village of Lake George, this would be a way to do it.
Yep, we're not New York City yet, we're
Okay, so,
not
so,
anywhere near
okay.
there.
I think, it seems like we've all expressed pretty well what our views are.
Yes, and I think it's time that we try to end this, and with some of the discussions we've had, that the planning board will take all that into consideration when they give the special use permit, and if there is further concerns that you have, Nancy, feel free, or John, to call and speak to Steve. And maybe there's another adjustment that can be made. Like Vicky said, it can always come back and be reviewed again and try to tweak things to make it better. And if it gets to a point where it's not going to be, then it would be revoked. So if everybody's comfortable, I think we're in a good place right now. Everybody's gotten to say what they think, and I think it would be best if we just tried to move on from here. Do you folks agree?
I agree. I think you're right about that.
Thank you very much.
But
Thank
thanks
you.
for hearing us.
Indeed, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. And keep in touch, please.
Right. Now, they could consider a band of mimes, if they would consider mimes, and they could be as loud as they
Air guitar. Air guitar.
Okay.
Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so there's no other public comments at all? Everybody is comfortable and happy? We'll now move on to the STR committee report. Kathy, do you wanna, we have a little bit of change here?
We have a slight change, due to the, due to date problems and the 45 days we need to change the registration dates.
Kath, you had floated out there this last couple of days about commercial use. Is that,
Oh, I just had a question about.
right, but
Yeah.
is that nothing that
No.
you came across with the lawyer during the?
I did not ask that question of the lawyer.
Well, I mean, I would not like to overstep here as far as lawyer goes, but, it's no more commercial use after we pass this law than it is now. Right, the fact that we have,
Answer that.
well, I mean, I can tell you.
It's not.
No, we've got, estimate 75 of these things in the township. They're not considered commercial properties. They aren't commercial properties. They haven't gone through the rigmaroles to make themselves commercial properties. They should be held to the reasonable standards of residential use. It just happens to be farmed out. And that's what we're trying to tackle in the, that farmed out use.
Yes.
But seeing as how there's 100 of these local laws that have already been passed in the state
Yes.
regarding short-term rentals, be they Airbnbs or Verbos or whatever else is in the pipeline, that doesn't make them commercial property. I mean, that's something we could run up the flagpole with our current attorney, but I think the answer has been established dozens of times already.
Other than that, that's the only change, and that's because we could not get the ad in the paper
Sure.
in time to hit the July 1.
Well, we were trying to get it somehow formulated into our summer season. The truth is, these things are used year-round.
They are.
Whenever we get to it, we get it done.
Right. Well, like Kathy said, the thing is by the time we set up for our public hearing, which will be at our next meeting on the 5th, we have to advertise for 2 weeks. So that advertisement will have to go in early tomorrow, get in touch with the paper and get it in there for the 2 weeks to make it to the 5th. And then once the board reviews it, we have the public hearing and all that. We then have to approve it, and then we have to wait 45 days. Once the 45 days is up, if no one files a petition with the town, in the town clerk's office, then the town clerk sends the law to the Secretary of State. And sometimes that can happen as quick as 2 weeks, and sometimes it can be 4 weeks. So we just want to make sure we have the dates correct, because if we say July 1st and the Secretary of State doesn't approve it, after that date, it's going to be thrown back and we're going to have to start over again. So we want to, they've worked very hard on this, the committee. We want to make sure all our ducks are in a row. So we were discussing, Kathy, September 1st, the registration date, until August 31st, the following year, is the new date.
And since the form would be accessible, not just online, but also in the office for those that may or may not be here, the U.S. Postage Service does still work.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so at this time, the only change to that will be the registration date. So I'm going to ask someone to move that we change the registration date.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
And second was Neil. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll get that, Steph will get working on that tomorrow morning and get that to the paper. And our next board meeting will be another public hearing. Okay, at this time, I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Okay, Rochelle
Second.
and Kathy with the changes for the zoning. Okay, so, well, I didn't expect that conversation so long, and I was supposed to close it at 7:45. Okay, so that's good on the STR. Next is a campsite update. At the last meeting, we had given addresses, asking people to send emails to Sean Mahar's office, which he's the DEC Executive Deputy Commissioner, and Eric Ringwald. Erica is the Chief of Staff for Commissioner Basil, and we have been hearing back. We've been getting answers, actually. Unfortunately, it's not the answers we want to hear, but at least they're acknowledging what we've been doing. So we're asking everybody to please continue to write or call them. And I do have information up here on the campsites, all the campsites, and they've got it highlighted for the jobs that are not filled. So if anybody wants to take one of these, it has each campsite throughout the upper north, and it also has the pay scales. So if you know anybody that would be interested, please take it. We're actually a bit nervous that if they don't fill all these summer positions, they will be closing 6 weeks early. And if this continues and they don't actually make an announcement soon that they are gonna stay open or what, I think it's time for us to have a public meeting. We were discussing, we were kind of kicking it around, a couple of supervisors, that we would do it in Indian Lake, possibly at the movie theater, and get DEC there and make them answer to the people.
I got responses from both, and DEC is asking for help finding workers.
And the sad thing is we
Well,
had
been
2
doing so for
job
months.
fairs.
I know.
I want
Helping
to
them.
address that a little bit.
Go ahead.
I was looking for some summer employment because I need some extra money in my retirement. So I called Northville, and I got the answering machine, which you always get when you go to call Northville. And then I called Indian Lake and talked to the lady up there. And she, right away, she sent me a pre-interview form to fill out and a post-interview form to fill out, and I forgot to send my resume with it. So she called me back and said, you forgot to send your resume, so I sent her a resume a week ago and I haven't heard a word since. So they're not real anxious to get people to work as far as I'm concerned. And through certain channels, I was talking to DEC employees, and they keep their employees on through September. They will keep their employees on through September to perform maintenance. And the only reason they wanted to close early, from what I could understand, was that they wanted to do maintenance, and that was a good time. Because maintenance after Columbus Day is always iffy. But my opinion was, if this was a private organization that had to make some money, they would keep as much of it open as they could.
Absolutely.
But the state gets paid no matter what, whether they're open or closed, so they're not gonna keep it open if they don't have to,
They're still looking for lifeguards at Louis Lake?
I guess.
That's what they say. Now, we had 2 lifeguards here in Lake Pleasant for Moffett Beach, and nope, they don't even have them on the list.
But Louis
They're not
Lake-
looking for them.
And they're both certified lifeguards who were there last year. And they both had expressed their opinion of
So
working
it's
there.
obvious they don't want to open up the beach. So that's, they're saying one thing and doing another, and so it's time that this is going to have to be addressed in a different way. We've tried to go the nice way and tried to talk to them, and it just hasn't worked.
For
So
months and months and months, we've
we
reached
have
out.
been doing this.
Been respectful to electeds that could, maybe bring something to bear. Try to get the governor's office, good luck there. A couple of things have to be continually pounded. One is, there's 3 places that are up for this sort of hatchet for the fall season and camping in New York Park. 2 of them are in the town of Lake Pleasant. That seems disproportionately punishing the town of Lake Pleasant. I don't know where the causal connection with that is, but it should never be. Not when we have made over and over and over continuously a treaty that this is an important portion of our economy. And it's particularly so for, I'll use my partner here, folks of a certain age who have certain size trailers, who are not paddling out to Indian Lake Islands for the week. They're coming to have a place near the water, make a little campfire, and still be able to come down into Charlie John's or to dine or to whatever. That's commerce, and it's seriously bad for us to have basically the only 2 in the town that are effective in the fall. To just without any real warning, and when I tell you, I've tried as a business owner, tried to empathize with them a number of ways. This does not hunt. Their excuses for this stuff. You don't carry any water, including some of the people that I used to work there. Yeah, I didn't get a call back. And then they give us this okey doke about we can't find people to fill those spots. I don't think it plays with Roost, our partner in tourism advertising. I don't think it plays with the folks who have those trailers, who now are going to be forced to go to someplace they didn't want to go to in the first place. I think it's way past high time for that public hearing. And there's one other, and it's a seamy side of things. Look, for the last 40 plus years, we've had a certain amount of folks, seasonal people who work for us in the off season at the end, who work for campsites. And they had unemployment to fall back on because they did 20 weeks. No one in their answers, these formulaic, same damn answers that they're sending us now, they're not addressing the fact that this is the nub of it. They're trying to keep their group small and facile and no unemployment for those seasonal people. They're doing everything they can to make sure we'll get 10, we'll get 12 weeks out of you, and then you've got to go. It's not right, and again, I'm a businessman, but this is a state campsite. They took this land and they control it completely, and it's some of the most beautiful vistas around the whole park.
They should probably turn it over to New York State Parks and Rec.
There you go.
DEC is not good at Parks and Rec.
Turn it over to you and me, and I guarantee you, be open early and close later.
Right.
So we'll keep you guys posted, as soon as we hear about this public meeting, if we can get them to
Sooner the
agree to
better.
come.
I just want to add that, I don't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
There's 14 state campsites in Hamilton County. 11 of them are closing 6 weeks early. Some of them have in the past, but
Yeah.
they're adding to it.
Right.
The only, I know Indian Lake Islands is gonna be open where you have to canoe out or take a boat. Lake Eaton and Long Lake is gonna be open. I don't know what the other one is, but Lake Eaton is the closest place where people can pull their trailer in or set up a tent without taking a boat somewhere. So that's in Long Lake, the other side of Long Lake. Right now, I have reservations in September at Lake Eaton, but
Gotta cover your bases.
if someplace
Okay.
else opens, I'll be there.
Okay, next I'm gonna move on, our BTI report. Vi said they have treated all streams in the village and town. The kill rate is 95%. They are still working in the backwoods and way out of town areas. They are finding lots of very, very teeny larvae that they have never seen before. So they will be going back and doing another treatment.
I'm saying if they're killing 95%, there's gotta be a bunch.
Yeah.
Well, these folks that are doing this now are very experienced, and I
Absolutely.
don't question their reports.
No,
It
no.
has been a bad
I wasn't
season,
questioning.
and I think of a lot of it has to do with the sort of up and down of the rainy season and then the not, the rainy seasons. They can't be everywhere at the vital time for optimum condition, but it has not been as effective as it has been in the past.
Yeah, they were on my stream today.
Okay.
Well, good.
Okay, next, our RO systems. Bill Duvendorf was in last week to discuss his schedule to reinstall the RO system at the Will Waller residence, and we are still waiting to hear from the other RO owners to get them on Bill's schedule. Community garden, June Burkotts will be having the third graders field trip again this year to the community garden on Friday, May 19th, to plant seeds and vegetable plants to start the growing season. They will be taking a pot home with seeds they planted to grow at home over the summer. All their produce is donated to the food pantry, and they will come back in September to see how their crops did. It's really, really neat to see these kids. It's a lot of fun. I will be meeting with June this week to discuss the greenhouses and collect information on the much-needed new fence. Once we get the fence, we will be looking to set up a community day to get it up. And I'll keep everyone posted after we meet this week.
We'll volunteer.
Library report. Karen McComb, president.
Oh, I didn't know I was having a report.
Well,
Other than the fact that we will be interviewing
Yes.
for, oh, is that what you're referring to?
yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yes, okay, yes, we have received some applications for the position of library director / manager. It's called director in-house, it's called manager under civil service designation. We do have interviews set up, and that's basically it, but we have gotten applications and we do have interviews set up.
Well, that's good.
So it
Great.
is proceeding forward.
Great.
I have any other questions about that?
Nope, that's all I wanted you. Perfect. Okay. Okay, next we'll move on to new business. At the last meeting, I had told everybody that Carol Waller's resignation from the planning board I had received. Since then, Casey Morrison has been asked if he would fill the seat. He was very pleased and said yes. So I am looking for a motion to move to discussion to appoint Casey Morrison to fill that seat.
So move.
Second,
Okay. Any discussion?
I think he's one of the best people in town to have on this.
Fantastic choice.
Yep, okay. Vicky, fantastic choice. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. It was
Any
easy.
opposed? Okay, next is youth recreation.
So we met with Samantha and Sheila from Arietta, who does their youth rec program out there, to make a plan for the summer. We scheduled out some trips, including some hikes, beach days, that kind of thing. But we are looking to advertise for 2 aides for summer rec, with a starting rate of $16 with a possibility of making more, depending on certifications like CPR or lifeguard.
How many hours will that be?
You said you wanted a summer job.
He is looking.
There are 6 trips. The trips exist every Tuesday and Wednesday. There's hiking mountains. There's corralling kids at water safari. Each week,
All right, I'm out.
I figured a half an hour on either side, Don, because sometimes people drop off their kids a little early. Sometimes you have to wait for parents to pick them up.
So hours are varied.
Our hours each week vary from the highest week that I figured was 18. Week 5, they've got,
What's the
week,
date?
I don't know, the 5th week. So 1, 2, 3. That would be the hike to,
Fawn Lake.
Fawn Lake, Murphy Lake.
With a fishing day.
With a fishing day with, some professional
Forest
state
ranger.
Forest ranger, NCON, and then the water safari trip. So you have to sit in a bus up to Old Forge.
No, I'm not looking for that job.
Anyway, sorry.
Last time I dealt with kids, I duct taped one to a tree.
That's a no-no. Anyway, we're
That's not
looking at
allowed?
about 81 hours total per person, so 162 hours for the summer.
Across the zone.
And that's for Tuesday, Wednesdays,
Always Tuesday, Wednesdays. Some of the trips start, one trip each week starts in the morning, and the other one starts after,
Summer
most
school.
of them and start around noon. The second trip each week, and goes later in the evening, so that, it doesn't cause problems with, it actually is a nice thing. Parents can drop their kids off at lunch break and then pick them up in the evening. And if they're at summer school, that's usually the drop-off pickup. The school does the transportation. Town of Arietta would be providing swim lessons that are going to be, we're gonna put out a packet that covers both Arietta and Lake Pleasant.
Great.
Arietta will make swim lessons available and tackle the lifeguard costs, and we would tackle the trip aid costs.
And it was going to Arietta's board tonight,
Yes. And
trying
each-
to push along the same agreement as last year. If the Arietta kids participate in these trips, Arietta will pay for their residents.
Can't beat that.
No, so it would definitely be a joint thing.
Nice. That's great.
Give it a whirl.
That's really great. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it? Okay. Next, I have an announcement. Speculator Ambulance. After many years of service, Phil Malidi has announced his resignation from his position, plus captain, and his seat on the board of directors. He will still be a member of the ambulance, and he will be there to provide guidance through this transition. Phil will be deeply missed. His dedication to our community has been outstanding.
How many years was he? I know at least 70, 1970.
Since 1970. I don't know how many
70's on the building,
years.
so that's what it's at.
53.
53 is when they were down at the fire hall too.
Yeah, so over 55 years.
To advertise. For the email.
You can't replace Phil.
No.
Yeah, we should.
That's all.
We should. So on a good note, though, the new ambulance is here, so that's great. And one other thing, the ambulance corps is in need of drivers. If anyone would like to drive or knows someone that would drive, please contact Ken Kurt. And we are gonna take a step back to the youth rec because we need to move to advertise for the position. So does someone wanna move that?
So,
Neil?
Seconded.
And Kathy second. Okay, sorry guys to move
And
back
that
on
would
that.
be at
Starting at $16 an hour.
$16 an hour to start. Increase based on certification, if any, held.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's that. Next thing is, I know we closed the public hearing, but now we actually have to move, I'm looking for a motion to approve the amendments made to the current zoning laws. So, does someone want to move that?
I'll move.
Okay, Rochelle? And a second?
A second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that? Everybody's comfortable?
I think we did enough.
Okay,
Just a comment, if I may, outside of the board here.
yep,
I was asked to do the definition, so I will provide those for you after the fact here.
okay, thank you.
Steve?
Thank you very much. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Kathy abstain. Okay, next is committee reports. Don?
Nope.
Nothing, okay.
I
Yep,
think we've covered them.
you're all done.
Well, we've covered them through the
Yeah.
regular agenda.
You anything
We
else?
covered mine too.
Kathy, anything else?
No,
We've covered
Stephanie brought
yours.
up something with the cemeteries that I guess we're gonna have to check and see if there's any abandoned cemeteries in the town and find out what, there's some new thing that we have to check into, if we even have them and what our responsibilities are. So there was some pamphlet or class that came through. I guess we should make sure we don't have any.
It just made us think of it, but
Okay.
I think Aaron was told that there are private lands within the town that might possibly have old grave sites on them.
Yeah, there's.
Mm-hmm,
That would-
there is,
Family plots,
there is.
Well, there are,
Yeah.
but they're prior
they're on
to,
private land.
they're on private land, but they're private prior to, the burials were prior to the
Yeah.
change of the state law.
Then it's not our problem.
Exactly.
You're not a-
Good, then I don't have to do that.
I don't think we do.
Okay, good,
Big fat never mind.
okay. Okay, next I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills. We'll do both abstracts together.
So moved.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
Michelle. Okay, any discussion?
Yes,
Yep, me too.
you go first.
Signing of the receipts at Charlie John's.
There's one.
And I did have a question on, I think it was a library receipt signed by
Pam Pooler.
Pam Pooler. I started looking at it and it looked like somebody's grocery bill, but shouldn't that go through the library board or does it have to come out of the,
No, it comes out of our library budget.
But it was,
We don't see them until.
yeah, it was in with the
it was in with
Our-
Randy's.
highway.
It must have gotten misfiled on somebody else's part because I forgot what it was for, but I remember Pam needed to purchase, what was it for?
It was M&M's, chips, bread, Cheerios, water for a total of $36.
Sounds like my grocery list.
I knew that's what it was.
Any leftovers?
It's right here. I got it, you don't have to look.
Game night.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
was providing refreshments for the game night that she was doing. She asked me how to handle it. I said, when you go, because she needed it then, right then and there. She didn't think of it ahead of time, about any procedure. I said, go to Charlie John's, like I do for the pathway,
Sure.
when I go and I get mulch for the flowers in front. I'll go to Charlie John's and I'll say, bill it to the town of Lake Pleasant, but make sure it says pathway on the bill. So I never had a problem with doing it that way. So whoever gets it in the office knows that it's coming out of that designated pathway money. So I said, when you go to Charlie John's, make sure you tell them that it goes into the library when it goes to the town on their bill. So whenever you get, I don't know how you get your bills from Charlie John's, that should have gone out of the library part of it, and I don't know how you handle.
Can I just ask a question?
Hold on,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
you just said it didn't.
No, it was part of this packet here.
Yes, but
Yeah, but
the
then you
line
say
that's
add-
on. is the
Where it's
library
coming out
line.
of.
Right.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
it shouldn't even have to go through whatever you're going
Yeah,
to.
I had just never seen that before
Oh,
in
it's,
the
yeah,
town.
it just.
Yeah, there's
They've
tons,
been-
oh, I don't wanna say tons. There's, that's back up there. Sherry gets a lot of stuff, markers, this, that, whatever she may need. She normally brings me the receipts or sends me pictures of the receipts. So that when I get them in the bill, I know that this is a library item. This particular one wasn't shared. It was Pam didn't know it, then all of a sudden it fell in my lap, I brought it to Betsy, I said, is she on the board? I didn't even know she was,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
a library personnel. So then it was straightened out that it was a library situation. Otherwise, because the first time I brought it up to Betsy, I said, wait a minute, this might have been just a confusion, somebody typed in the wrong number. And then I found out what it was for, and so on and so forth, and it should have came out of a library.
It did,
It,
it did.
Okay,
okay, it did, got
good,
it.
because I was up to the county straightening things out that day, that was processed, so
All's well that ends well.
I,
But we would like to see the receipt signed.
Well, we
So
do too.
if they're not signed, if you look on most of those receipts, they will have their name actually on. No?
no.
Okay.
Couple of them, yes, most of them, no.
Yeah, it's gotta reinforce that.
Yeah, because it was a
We were doing it for a while.
$600.
Dan Yoder did,
Yeah.
others
I
did
don't know
not.
how
They,
you did.
a lot of them, they just write what they were buying.
Okay,
They're not putting their name.
putting the name.
And
Okay.
I think if it's like it used to be, the person has to hand in that receipt also to their department head or whoever, so that they can have a copy with the signature, otherwise
Right.
Charlie John's usually just.
So that's the situation with Sherry, she sends me a picture of it.
Yeah,
It might not, you know, odds, but I know it's coming from Sherry
right.
home, so it's obviously a library you know.
This one says welding shield, no signature. The next one has nothing. Okay, so,
They have everything.
I had a question, a separate one.
Letter Charlie Jones, you know,
Go ahead, Kathy.
Mine has to do with the Chevy Impala. Does
Oh,
every,
yeah, that's another one.
the plow springs on the Chevy Impala?
Yeah.
So
Bill has Chevy Impala on it.
2006.
It has for years.
okay,
NAPA has not,
Yeah.
O'Connor's have
Yeah.
not changed their
okay,
billing.
I was gonna say,
The item, the car number or truck number or whatever is not changed, but the actual, what we buy is on there correctly.
yeah,
For them to keep up with all the vehicles that we buy,
I understood. I just was laughing,
Anything else on the bills?
no.
You've never seen the Impala at Randy's house?
Don't do that, you're gonna get
it's the new road checker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, public comment, any public comment?
I would like to thank the town for funding the BTI program, because I know a lot of people are complaining about the black flies, and I have been coming here for many years,
Yeah.
and I have been living here for many years. And believe me, if you go back,
Oh, it's better than it used to.
it's a lot better than it used to be,
Great
when
pony.
you couldn't even breathe when you were.
And it would be weeks.
We've had a couple of years
Weeks.
where it was really, really
Thank you, Kathy.
effective and there wasn't many. So this little flare up, we're all talking about it, but you're right.
I wanna tell you, it's well worth it.
Absolutely.
So you're
Agreed.
complaining for a few days, but
Yeah.
I'm very glad our town funds it.
Thank you.
I agree.
Anything else?
Well, I'll just comment on that comment. If one was to want to see if it works, take a ride into either Perkins Clearance, get out of your vehicle and walk 10 feet away from it.
I did that this week.
Or go down.
Two people standing
They
there
have-
fishing and I have no idea how. A guy and a gal in their 20s and I was like, nice to meet you. I'm out of here.
I was down on Gilmantown Road today with the chip sealing going on, and I felt sorry for the guys running it because they were downstate individuals.
Oh.
Let me tell you,
Fresh
they had never even
Yeah.
bought
Sweet
buck
meat.
dope or anything yet.
Fresh
And I was
meat.
like, you guys are kidding me, and they're all wearing black with yellow on it, and it was just, and they were just swarming, I mean, you could just grab handfuls of them. And
Ugh.
They make me
it
Disgusting.
works if it's applied in the, you know, and I'm glad that they do it in the residential areas.
That's what they
a
do.
lot
First.
more,
Yeah.
But it is.
It helps.
They do a great
horrendous outside
job.
of the zone, I call
That
it.
helps.
And when you're right,
Okay.
you're living with them anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody
They
complains
go
who's
away,
not
the
lived up here
mosquitoes
before?
don't.
That's correct.
Okay, roundtable, Don,
No, I guess we're okay.
we're okay?
We're okay.
I have
Neil?
nothing. Oh, I take it back. One last thing, and it actually goes to the library, the Pride Day. Pride Day went well. Am I stealing something of yours?
That's okay, go right ahead.
Okay, I figured
No,
you
you
always
go right
have-
ahead.
Well, anyway, I thought there was a good turnout from many precincts, not just where we were doing it. And the library mile or so looked really nice.
And going to the senior citizen center the lunch was phenomenal, it was delicious, it really
Really
was.
good.
They did a great
Why all
job.
the vegetables?
I don't know, because they probably think we need them.
So,
Yeah, but anyway,
Already
okay,
got
Kathy, no round table, okay.
I have,
So, go ahead.
never mind.
No, go ahead.
No.
You don't want to?
Yes, if you see Paul Cleveland,
Oh, you took my second
I
thing.
second it.
Oh, you boys.
We get jump on our stuff. I know.
pat him on the back and say
You
thank
bet.
you.
Absolutely,
He likes mug
absolutely.
root- He likes mug root beer.
He cleans that roadside from Oxbow Inn all the way to the village. Every year. So when you see him, thank him,
Indeed,
absolutely. And Neil buys him his root beer.
I do. Some of that stretch, he does a very lengthy stretch, and some of it with the streams.
It's a lot of hard work.
Oh, you get some real wing dingers.
Yep.
Coming out of those colors, but, yeah, part of it is the inns, and I still do that, and, Paul does most of it.
Okay, so next is the chamber dinner. Is this coming Wednesday, is it? Wednesday, right?
Thursday.
Thursday, it's Thursday. I got Wednesday down here, and I'm going to it. Thursday at the Lemon Tree. Rochelle and I will both be attending. Are you able to attend or no?
I haven't gotten a coverage yet.
Okay.
But is there still availability? you think?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was gonna
I'll
tell everybody,
call you
just
tomorrow.
call the chamber if anybody wants to go. I'm sure they could take on a couple of more.
I think we have to turn in numbers.
Yeah, I imagine.
Tomorrow, at the end of the day tomorrow,
Okay,
Tuesday.
okay. And then one last thing, I was contacted today by the Hamilton County Public Health Department. They're asking if they could use our tennis courts on Monday, June 5th from 10 to 11. They would like to set up a table to distribute bicycle helmets and educational information. So I told them I would take it to the
We're
board.
doing
Are
this
they
for
gonna
the
have
last
to
couple
duke
of
it
years.
out with
Not gonna ride
bicycles?
bicycles.
And this is the flukiest thing. I got here and there was a beep on my phone and I looked at it. And it was from one of the pickleballers, just to say that they would be starting like next week. So I sent back and explained to her that I was taking it to the board and I hoped that they could maybe work their schedule for that hour, may come later or come earlier and leave earlier, so that we could definitely, if the board agrees, to certainly let
long
the
as
health
they're not-
department use it.
As long as they're not riding bicycles on the tennis courts.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Okay, perfect.
The last couple
I
of
will-
years, we've allowed this for the distribution of these helmets.
Yep, okay. Our next meeting is June 5th at 7 PM at the library here, and like I said, it will be a public hearing for the short-term rental. And at this time, thank you for coming, good to see you all, Bonnie. And I'm looking for a motion.
I will entertain the motion to,
Dismiss.
One second.
Second.
Thank you, good night.
Good night, good night, good
Bye.
night.
I tried to rush through it. Michelle.